What's up, Badger fans? You got me, you got Rajiv, you got the therapy session. That's another loss. We've had a lot of tough therapy lately, but let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. We got the therapy session. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. We got Rajiv over there. He was last on the show in 2021. It's nice to have him back.
I've missed you, man. It's
too.
good to be back. You know, I've been busy with work, busy with the Bucky Report, but always really appreciate shows that I get to do with you.
No, I love it, man. Like you're honestly one of my favorite people on the planet. So I love having you back. We got the sadness reaction. I've added music into our therapy sessions. And the funny thing is I haven't been able to play the happy one yet. So every therapy session we've had for like a while has been this. All right, let's talk about it. So Wisconsin, not a good game, lose by double digits. We're never really in it. Down 16 at half. They were on the road to Providence. Providence is a good team, but it's not like we were playing Duke or Arizona here. Where are you at?
I'm not in a good place, man. I'm not in a good place at all. Like, honestly, just holistically looking at everything, I feel like we need a break. I need a break. I mean, some kind of a reprieve, some kind of a light at the end of the tunnel would be really nice, because right now we had Tennessee, we had Northwestern debacle, we had this. I have no joy. I'm not like I always want to see my teams win, and I want to enjoy that, but I'm feeling no joy out of what the Badgers are doing right now. It's killing me. And anyone who's listening, I see it. Comment.Clink commented about my optimism. There will be no optimism tonight, by the way. None of that. I am really hurting, man. It's you feel this emotional. We all have such emotional ties to the Badgers, so it's not good, not good. But Providence, man, we just got outplayed in every sense of the game. Everything: offense, defense, hustle plays, rebounds, every single thing. We just got outplayed. I think they wanted it more. They played with more heart. They looked like they actually cared, and frankly, they out-athleted us all over the place. They were just dominating, and we looked rough, man. It was a rough game. And coming off after a game where we were in it with Tennessee until late, and then to see this, nasty.
Yeah, I want to talk about something you said, because I think there's issues here to discuss. I think the first one is the athlete thing. I think one of the big reasons Free Take was such a big get is you can tell from a backcourt standpoint, our athletes get swallowed up a little bit. And I think this is going to be an issue we're going to see all year against the bigger teams who can put 5 pretty good athletes out there, and against the teams that want. Because Providence turned up the heat. They played really aggressive man-to-man defense.
Very aggressive man-to-man.
Very aggressive. They quite frankly swallowed us up. And I think that's the blueprint for any team with athletes and the defensive resolve. This entire year, we're going to struggle against that, because we talked about it before this season. I talked about it before the beginning of last year. We lack the type of athletes that can attack really aggressive defensive players that can get up in your grill. We just don't have it. And you saw the struggles offensively because of that. So I think that's the first issue. You hit on that. The second one I want to talk about, and I think this is a really big question. It's kind of, to me, an elephant in the room. Connor Essegian.
Yes.
That's who you're counting on to get offense off the bench. And it's really strange to me, because either he's hurt, and then I don't think you should be playing him, because this is a marathon, not a sprint, or he's not hurt and you got to play him more than 6 minutes.
Obviously there's got to be some kind of, he's carrying something. He's not all the way back, because if he is, then there needs to be more explanation, because you're right. His lack of productivity and lack of being in the game is showing so hard right now, because we don't have that. And frankly, we're not getting our offense in other places we need it. And one of the things that really is bugging me right now is Tyler Wahl. And to the inside play tonight, I honestly, I feel like 3 years ago, this guy was more creative in getting easier shots under the basket. But now I feel like every shot that he and Crowl are taking are little baby hooks. They can't, they're being defended by a longer guy, and they have no real good post moves. They're just backing into the paint from the block. They're taking one look, maybe a quick pump fake, and then they're just doing a little jump hook that it's not really a good shot. It's kind of a hope and a prayer, I feel like, which is why we're missing so many. Last year, we talked about field goal percentage, inside the block. Same thing's happening again this year. We have to be more clinical down low. I mean, and if we're not going to be able to do that, then we need to have quicker passes, get into the post, back out, right? Driving and then dishing out. Our passing is too slow. Our movement is okay at times, but we're not moving the ball fast enough. If you're going to face defenses that are playing aggressive defense, like you said, you're going to have to move the ball in a different fashion. And man, do we need those guys inside to actually put the ball in the bucket. I find it astonishing that the field goal percentage is so low from inside 4 feet. And the same thing happened last year, and it's happening again right now.
Ryan Bolt says football and basketball are in shambles. So depressed.
You're
I put
so
anybody
right.
with the name Ryan up on the comment section. It's a strong for. We have so many Ryans in this channel. The thing I told you, what did I get so many things wrong. This is not that. I'm not sure. But what did I tell you about Steven Crowl last year? Like, he's never going to be a post player. Like but the Wahl thing's interesting because you're dead on with the Wahl thing. It felt like
because he was better.
Agreed. And we've seen for a couple games now Wahl struggle a little bit. Although here's the thing, I still have a lot more faith in Wahl going down into the low block than Crowl. I think Crowl's just too mechanical. But Wahl needs to play better. Like, Wahl absolutely needs to play better. And Great Guard talked about it. Great Guard really kind of lit him and Crowl up post-game and said, you got to finish. You've been here 9 years between the two of you. You got to finish. And nice to hear Great Guard say that because you're just echoing everything every Badger fan is yelling at the screen while holding their spotted cow. You got to finish.
I mean, it's like how many layups? And also not only just that, just layups. I think we missed like 7 layups tonight. That's unbelievable. And it's just focus and it's attention. Now, I will say, I want to give a little criticism to Greg Gard in this regard, too. And I'm curious your take on this. When Bo Ryan was here, Bo Ryan made it a point. Guys like Mike Wilkinson, guys that like he developed their post moves and he worked on post moves a lot. I feel like now what we're seeing with Wahl and Crowl and other guys is just like, once you're down in the post, just make it happen and make it work. I don't feel like there's any development in their post game and their actual post play. And you've coached basketball, so you know more about this than I do. But I just like they were so much more fundamental a few years ago. And even when Bo Ryan was there, I feel like he coached them a little bit better when it came to his bigs playing down low. And I don't see that here. All I see is regression in the bigs play. And I think that's kind of a red flag for me. Am I totally off base on that?
Well, I would never say anybody's off base, man. Like, I think your observations are strong. I think for the most part, we're maybe ignoring some of the Bo Ryan players that didn't develop in the post. Like maybe a guy like Stiesma, maybe a guy like I look at I just don't think Crowl, that's not who he is. Like, he's too mechanical and you can't make him into a better athlete, right? So I don't think that's a Greg Gard thing. I really don't. And we saw just 2 years ago, you mentioned it, Tyler Wahl, even at the beginning of last year, was really good in the post. Like, Greg Gard developed that to some degree.
Yeah.
I think the bigger issue offensively, here's the bigger issue. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I think development has potentially hit a bit of a snag, but I think the bigger issue is the spacing on offense is incredibly bad. It's really tough. And when you have Steven Crowl, right, who's not hitting those threes, we had hoped he would. So there's no spacing there. Tyler Wahl is a 20% career three-point shooter. He took 2 tonight. You should never take a three-point shot at this point. There's a great anecdote where the player comes off the bench and he's like, "Coach, I was wide open. I took the shot." And the coach is like, "That's what they wanted you to do. That's why you were wide open." Like,
how many people on our team are wide open?
Oh, too many, right?
So
the spacing is bad. And then the other part of it is I absolutely hate to bash on a kid, a young adult, whatever it is. Carter Gilmore, when he's out there, and he plays his butt off, the spacing gets really bad because as soon as he passes the ball, his guy legs off and just destroys driving lanes. Like, it's not even – they're playing 4-on-5 offensively when Gilmore's out there. And Gilmore played 13 minutes. That's a long time to play with one of your players offensively where the defense isn't respecting him at all. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Greg Gard can fix that. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think what's interesting is like what lineup do we need to see to where that isn't a problem, right? So clearly, like Winter coming in, like he definitely is a threat from deep as a potential threat. So he's going to provide that spacing. Wahl being out there is okay. Obviously, we're looking for Gus to come in at some point, but then I mean, beyond that, we're okay with Chucky and whether it's Klesmit, AJ Storr, Connor Segian. When a Segian's in the game, there is better split. When he was in there tonight, there was better spacing. And that because he obviously attracts so much attention and they never let him breathe, which is obviously why he never got good shots off. He took a couple of mid-range jumpers, but it's all about finding that right lineup. And I think you're right. I think like the lineup as it sits now, even with Crowl and Wahl together, maybe they don't need to play together. Maybe they really need to have Winter in there, or, maybe have Storr potentially, maybe even playing 4 guards and not playing, just having Winter or just having Wahl or just having Crowl, so that you can spread the floor more, because it is a problem. And I mean, Providence just made us look bad. And the way that they any dribble drive penetration, they stopped immediately.
Yep.
We had nothing. And then when we got to the block, we had to just find a way to dish out. And it wasn't any quick. It was all because they stopped what we did. Nothing was really intentional. And anything we were trying to do was getting swallowed up. So it was bad all around.
Yeah, we're going to keep talking about this. And I want to continue talking about that Connor Seaton thing. And I think that's interesting. Plus, what players on basketball have exceeded expectations from the beginning of the year? It's not a super big list. We're going to talk about it next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at eBay Motors. I've said this before, Rajiv, and you're a higher life form than I am, so you've probably already done this at some point in your life. But I think I might get Aaron a car for Christmas. Like one of those.
That's a good call.
Yeah, like one of those commercials with the bow and the ribbon.
I've never done it, but I want to.
My cars are terrible, and it's about time. She never listens to the show, so she's not going to hear this. Watch this be the one show she listens to. But eBay Motors has kept my cars alive up to this point. They have got me the right parts, the right pieces, guaranteed fit, over 122 million parts. eBay Motors is there for me for my ride or die until it literally dies. And it wouldn't be alive this long if not for eBay Motors. So if you need any type of parts for your car, if you need anything at all on eBay Motors, they have you covered because you're burning rubber, not cash. All the parts you ever need, ride or die live at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers. We'll see how it goes over with the missus, Rajiv. I'm not saying I'm going to get her a super nice car. Like but we'll see. We'll see. I want to talk more about this basketball game. I really think it's part of me. People didn't want to hear this, and I get it because you're coming off a loss. It's definitely not a good loss. You didn't look great, but I don't want to overreact to the third game of the year, which is a road game where you shot 25% from 3. The other team shot 44%. Some of that is your defense, Rajiv. I get that, but you're just going to lose games where you shoot 25% on the road and the other team shoots 45%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this? What I'm going to kick to you, is this a trend to you, or is this potentially a bit of a one-game anomaly? You were pretty high on the team coming off Tennessee to some degree.
I think that, look, it better be a one-game anomaly. I don't think it's a trend. I worry about it being a trend because of the things you mentioned with spacing and the issues we're having. But the bottom line is we added AJ Storr and John Blackwell onto this team. 2 very athletic players who are playing really well right now. So how can we not be better than we were? And I feel like that how we played tonight was not even indicative of how we were last year. So I think that I do think it was a bit of a one-game situation. However, I'm still really I still think there are problems here that, I was really hoping our scoring droughts would not be a thing, and they've been a thing this year, except for the first game. They were thinking Tennessee and this game. So that is a concern that I'm like, why is this not being solved? And I do think that AJ Storr, while he's really good, he's taking too many shots at times. He's forcing it. So I think we need to still work out a few things and kinks, but do I think that we will? Yes. Am I thinking it's going to be a bad year? No. I did a short on YouTube earlier. I think that we're still going to have a good season. I am confident, but I just want to feel like there's movement in the right direction. I've said that with football all year. You got to see improvement. So I want to see that happen fairly quickly. And I think it will. But our schedule's so tough. It's going to be hard to get wins. We've got a really rough stretch. So we'll see. So I don't think it's a long-term thing. I think we will fix this, but red flags are kind of popping up for me right now that I wish weren't there.
Isn't it funny how and coming up with this stuff after the Northwestern game, everyone said, let's talk basketball. It's basketball season. Now everybody's like, fire guard. This is terrible. We're 3 games in the world. What do I talk about? Hockey. I have to shift to hockey regime. I want to talk about, so let's talk about Blackwell and Storr a little bit, because you brought him up. I didn't think Storr played well today.
No, he did not.
Especially in the first half. It feels like, so coming off the first game, the Arkansas State game, Rajiv, there were some shots he took where I kind of red flagged it. We talked about it a little bit. I think with Justin was on, and I said, those are kind of tough shots. He hit them, but against a more athletic team, those are probably misses. And we've seen him struggle. I just haven't seen enough quality shots from Storr, right? Where you're like, oh, that's a really high percentage shot.
He's not creating as much as maybe we thought he could.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's taken 37 shots in 2 games. 37. That's a lot of shots. So he's going to need to connect on more of them at a higher clip if he's going to keep taking them, which is why, I said before the game, I think he really needed to improve his shot selection. I don't think he really did that. It was a little bit better, but in general, yeah, he's still firing up there too much. So, but Blackwell, on the other hand, I had nothing bad to say about that guy. Nothing.
Should he be? I mean, this is way too early. And there was a point where he had, I think, 7 of our first 13 points. He had a 3, he had a 2, he had an offensive rebound bucket. And then this is one of my criticisms with Guard in this game. He took him out for a period in the first half when we couldn't score, and Blackwell was the only guy scoring. He didn't play him enough against Tennessee, I didn't think either, right? He almost didn't play in the second half. I don't know what we're seeing that Greg Guard's not. That dude has to play more. Like John Blackwell Jr. has been the bright spot on the team for me. He needs to play more. And I was a little frustrated to see an extended period with him not in the game when the game was still kind of in contention, and he'd been the only guy really consistently scoring.
Yeah, totally. So last year when Connor was the one consistently scoring, we were calling for him to start. And yeah, I think maybe not in the next game or two, but I think soon before the Big Ten season starts, yeah, he should be starting. Right now, I think coming off the bench is okay because he can kind of see the game differently, kind of figure out, pick his spots and come in and affect the game. But I expect him to be starting before long because he's great. He can put the ball on the floor. I think he's very versatile and he's very confident on the ball too, which I like. He's not afraid to take shots. I think he's a huge piece of what we're doing. So yeah, maybe not start right now, but soon, yes. And frankly, if he were to start now, I wouldn't complain about it. He is playing better than anyone else on the team, and frankly, even better than AJ Storr at this point. It's like, isn't it funny that if with the guys that we had last year, the 2 guys that are playing the best are 2 guys we didn't have. So like if Chucky and if Tyler Wahl and Crowl and Acegian could step up, how much better could we really be? I'm not necessarily Acegian because I know he's hurt, but what can happen when those other guys take their step and wake up and play the season properly?
Yeah, it's a good point. Mike says start Winter too. I don't know if we're there yet, but I've liked what I've seen.
Had a great shot today. Beautiful 3-pointer.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Gosh, I'm still getting over it, Rasheed. The thing with Acegian, man, and I want to kind of go back to that because I think he's such a key to this team. We talked about if you can just get Acegian from early part of last year, the weapon he can be by spacing the floor, creating offense. He's got to sit. Like, I'm telling you right now, he has some type of back thing, some type of core body thing. Like, this isn't working, right? This isn't working at all. Like, you have to get him healthy for the Big Ten. I think he has to sit because right now he's not helping the team.
100%. If you're not 100% ready, you're only going to make the chances of you getting re-injured higher. There's no sense in that. Like, I've had back injuries. I don't know how you're even playing with back injuries. I don't know how severe it is, but what I do know is that it needs to heal properly before you can get back out there. Don't take any risks. Now, obviously the medical team is probably signing off on all this. It's okay. But I mean, yeah, just sit him on the bench. We're okay with that. When he's ready, we need him to play because we need him to be great, not just off the bench, a couple points.
Let's bang some of these comments out. Commandant says, Rajiv, you're letting the optimism come
I am
back
not, Commandant. I am not.
Slim Lewis says, let's talk about Locke and Mordecai. Mitchell Lee says, this offense has no fundamentals. Angelo Cortez, our post players are lacking in creating space. Yeah, all that's true. Bo says, Connor doesn't make up a 20-point difference in Providence. That is also true. Listen, this was a game where Chucky, I think, shot 2 of 10. Tyler Wahl was inefficient. Stephen Crowl wasn't very good. Nobody on the bench outside of Blackwell played well. Like this was a complete failure, right? This is not, if Connor played better, we win this game. They got run out of Providence. But again, I would caution, and I know people don't want to hear this and people are going to get on me. It's not the end of the world to drop an early road game out of conference to a decent team. Providence isn't bad. They're not great, but they're fine. If you shoot better, which you should shoot better because this team has good 3-point shooting on it. It is what it is.
It's fine as long as we see the problems rectified and we do fix that. I mean, so Crowl, Wahl, and Hepburn, the guys you just mentioned, were 6 of 24 tonight. 6 of 24. Like, that's pretty bad. And it's not, to me, it's I don't just buy the whole, like, the shots aren't falling. I understand that the shots sometimes don't fall, but it's also shot selection and how they're getting the shots and what shots they're taking. The way Tyler Wahl is playing in the low block, I don't think he's taking good shots from 3 feet away because they're not high percentage shots. The way he's hooking it, the way he's just kind of like, just trying to be nimble enough to get a shot off, but he's really not. It's not high percentage. And a lot of Chucky's shots aren't high percentage. He's still doing the fadeaways. And so it's not just about the shots falling. If it's just shots falling, that's fine. But I think it's a little bit more than that.
Let's see. Michael says Ryan and his fanboy delusion is hilarious. He said the football team was natty contenders 3 months ago. Now I believe the basketball team is good. I never said they were national.
I didn't say this year. I said in the next 10 years, but yes. But we did say that we were going to win the West. We did say that. I said they were going to win the Big Ten. So yikes.
I mean, I didn't even say they're going to win. Like, they were natty contenders 3 months ago. Listen, fans fan differently, and this is me. At the end of the day, it is what it is.
Ryan, I want to bring up one thing: the defense. We haven't really talked much about the defense. It was rough.
That's a great point, Rajiv.
I mean, I don't know we're just letting people dribble penetrate. Like, it's like, are we even trying to stop them? You see it on one end of the floor. You see that every single time we try to penetrate, they were cutting off the lanes. They were cutting off passing lanes. They were doing everything right. And now you're on the other end, no matter who got the ball, they would drive in, they'd either make a bucket or they would get fouled. Seemingly every single possession. And if we did collapse and we were able to stop the dribble drive, wide open shooter in the 3, he's just draining them. It's like we played so bad defensively, and I thought there was a lot of lack of effort, especially in the second half. I know that we talked a little bit about it. Like, yes, the second half we hung with them as far as points, but I just felt like we played uninspired, and mainly that sort of manifested itself on the defensive side. I was just, usually you're like, okay, Badgers, we can get a couple stops in a row. We never went on a run. We never got more than one stop in a row. Every time we did anything right, we got in our own way. So it's just, I mean, really bad defense. And that has to improve because we've now given up. We've given up 80 points to Tennessee, 72 points to Providence. I don't remember how many gave the first game, but that doesn't really matter. That's kind of concerning as well.
That's a great point. I got to take a quick break. And then I want to talk about that more because I think even coming off the Arkansas State game, Rashid, that first half against Arkansas State, they were dribble driving at ease as well. And when you start looking at 3 games, we've had issues defending the dribble, defending penetration. That is now a trend, inarguably. So I do want to talk about that coming up. We have a quick break for friends of the show over at FanDuel. I know I wasn't able to convince Rajiv to bet with me on the Braves. And the Niners lost 3 in a row before their most recent win. And the Suns are below 500 right now. Oh, gosh, Rajiv. I do it all on FanDuel, though, because it's fast, it's easy, it's simple. By the way, Devin Booker's only played 2 games, so let's chill out on that take. But, yeah, I do it all on FanDuel because it is the fastest, easiest, simplest way to do all of your sports betting. And they have every type of thing you want to get into, whether it's parlays, futures, teasers. It's all there, incredibly easy to use. Plus, there's a great offer. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in the action. Right now, new customers get $150, Rajiv, in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Go bet on the Niners. Go bet on the Suns. It's not too late. Let's get some coin in that Scrooge McDuck bank. Rajiv, let's talk about defense a little bit more. Then I want to talk a little bit about football to wrap this up. I think that's an excellent point because I think as Badger fans, we're conditioned to freak out about the offense because the offense is always the issue, right? On football and basketball, right? That's
right.
And defense has always been fine, so we kind of do gloss over that. But the defense has been bad for 3 games, and you made a really good point. And I should have been specific when I said sometimes teams just shoot well, sometimes teams just shoot poorly, and that can be the difference. But how those shots come off shot selection and they come off open shots, and there's a reason sometimes why a team shoots well. It's because Providence is getting in the paint. They're drawing defenders. They're kicking to wide open shots. They're finding open shooters in transition. They're out hustling the Badgers to kick it out to open shots. Meanwhile, the Badgers are taking contested step back threes. They're taking tough shots at the rim. The defense needs to get better, and it's been bad for 3 games. Why has it been bad? I think that's the question, right? Because Hepburn's a good defender. He was last year. Klesmit was a good defender last year. Wahl is a good defender. Crowell's a good positional defender. He's not a shot blocker really, but I don't think AJ Storr has been very good. Athletically, he's there, but he gets blown by a little too easy. But the defense hasn't been good enough for Chief. It's a great point.
I feel like it's it's a lot of factors as to why, but I think there's a lot of lack of discipline. I think that they're fouling too much. Even Klesmit fouled too much, and I know that the refs were a little bit off tonight, but like you can't put the refs in position to constantly foul. And I think that what's happening that I've noticed especially from like Chucky and from Max as well, and Tyler Wahl, kind of lazy defense. I mean, you're getting those fouls because you're playing lazy defense, and that's happened a lot. I mean, they were in the bonus 5-10 minutes in the second half. So I think that the discipline is an issue, effort is an issue. I don't really know why. It's kind of surprising because you're right, we don't really have these problems mainly, but I don't necessarily think it's a talent issue on defense. I think it's all effort, and we're just not putting it in there for some reason. I don't really understand it, but I that's what I'm seeing, really lack of discipline.
Gay Ramos says it's 3-on-5 when we're on offense with Wahl and Crowl on the floor. I mean, they have to play better. When they play like this, it is 3-on-5. Now, they don't always play like this, to be fair. But, Rajiv, I'm going to switch off basketball for a second because I do want to talk a little football. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. We obviously had the Hunter Wohler discussion. You know, he said what he said. Luke Fickell has kind of talked about we need to figure out who's going to be here. Is that actually going to lead to any changes this year? Like, do you actually think – is that just talk? Or is that coming to Nebraska, we're going to see a young player or two in places that we haven't seen?
I think the most likely answer to that is it's probably just going to be a player or two that we haven't seen. I want it to be true, and I want changes to happen. That being said, I don't think that you're going to do that. You're going to have two people come out and say that, and especially Luke Fickell say that in a press conference without there being some plan. Now, he did say a few weeks ago that he was going to bring in some young players on special teams. He did that. But I mean, I think we all want to see, guys like Allegro getting more playing time and things like that, and Tyler Jancy potentially and other things. So I think that it will happen, but just a little bit. I hope it's a wholesale changes. I hope the offensive line looks new. I hope everyone's looks new. I'm fine with that. I said last on the weekend that I want players who want to play. That's it. I don't care because we just lost to Indiana Northwestern. We're not trying to win games right now. I mean, that's clearly not anything that's going to happen. So let's just play who wants to play. So I really hope that Fickell, there's some beef behind those words, but I think there is, but it's a very small amount, sadly.
It's tough, I think. Like, what would the changes actually be, right? Like when we start saying we want changes on the offensive line, I want changes on the offensive line too.
Yep.
What does that actually look like, right? Maybe there just isn't anybody that you can put in there. Maybe it is worse. Maybe
we're worse from a talent perspective or worse from an effort perspective, because I'll take the effort. So if there are that many people, if there are really that many people that you can't even field a team with people who want to play and get putting in the effort, then Luke Fickell's got a huge problem, and it's probably Luke Fickell's problem. So that's not good coaching. So I believe that like there are people that want to play. I'm hoping that there are a lot of people that want to play, putting in the effort in practice. So give the young guys a chance then. Put Jamel Howard out there. Put Tyler Jancy out there. Put Christian Allegro out there. Put Tretch Kekahuna out there. Like, give me Nolan Rucci, for God's sakes, at left tackle. Like, can we just put Jake Renfro out there? I don't care. TJ Bowlers, where the heck has he been? Like,
I'm convinced some of these people don't exist. I'm convinced TJ Bowlers, Aaron Witt, and Jake Renfro don't exist. They are part of a witness protection program. Those guys are actually in a different state, and Wisconsin is helping Federal Bureau of Investigation hide their identities. I have no clue. But because it doesn't make sense. It quite frankly doesn't make sense. Tyler Strieber says Rucci and Wedig. I 100% agree with you on Rucci. Like, at this point, I'm sorry. Like, I don't understand what more we need to see from Jack Nelson. Not trying to crush them, but it doesn't work. I would love to see, here's another one. In the secondary, if we're talking specifics, can we see DeCluna, Jace Arnold, Amari Snowden, Vice, Alexander Smith? All three of those players, by the way, are part of the future, nominally, theoretically. Alexander Smith has played really poorly this year. I think those changes should be made. I think we should see Tretch running routes instead of some of the upperclassmen receivers, right?
Because what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What? I mean, we're already our season's basically over. We've looked like crap. Like, what do we have to lose? You want to see what we have next year. You want to give some guys a chance going into the offseason and get them motivated to come back and play. You want to excite the fans and bring a little joy back into this program. Like, if you're going to lose games, at least lose them with people that are wanting to play and are giving their all. Now, we don't know who all is not putting it in the effort and doesn't want to be here, but they need to figure it out. And if you're not going to want to be here, and if you're not going to put the effort in, don't play them. I don't want to see them on the field. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's every starter that we've had on this team. I'm not even kidding about that. If it's every starter, I don't care. Put people in that want to play, because that is, we have nothing to win. We have nothing to lose right now. Yeah. We're 5-5. That is horrific. This is, again, another rock bottom year of Badger football. So let's just try to look to the future. And that includes quarterback.
Well, I want to finish on that. And by the way, you see my camera go kind of out of focus again. Rajiv and I have the same camera, and his never does this.
Never once. Oh,
dog, I want to finish here, though, because Tanner Mordecai obviously came back from the injury, back as the starter. You and I talked about this. Justin talked about this. We all unequivocally said, and for the rest of this season, because we're really not playing for any major stakes. And quite frankly, Tanner Mordecai didn't live up to the expectations that we had for him. I want to see Locke, or I want to see Evers. I want to see a younger quarterback who – you look at what we've done offensively with Tanner Mordecai, and it's not all on him, obviously, but we scored 10 points against Northwestern, and 7 of those were in garbage. We couldn't score against Indiana. Like, we're not putting up.
We had 0 points when he left the Iowa game.
Like, we're not putting up points with him in the starting lineup. So what's the difference to try a younger quarterback and see if you can build some type of momentum? Like, I don't understand the need to play Tanner Mordecai, and I'm not trying to crush him. Like, I don't get it though.
Totally. I mean, the only game that I feel like he put up a lot of points was the Purdue game, but really that was more Braylon Allen, and it was his legs. It was Tanner's legs that got a lot of the points, but the running game was really effective in that contest, which allowed us to do much better. And right now the running game's not there. So Braylon Allen's probably not going to play again. If he does, it'll be minor. And then we've got Aker and Yakimelli. We need to play Locke, because number one, we all said this, and I don't know if anyone agrees, Locke throws a better ball. In my opinion, it's clear. Mordecai missed a couple other deep balls last week. So he throws a better ball, and frankly, he is your future. So whether it's Mabry or whether it's him or someone else, wherever, it's like, he is the guy that could be there. Mordecai's not going to be there, and we're not competing for the Big Ten West. If instead of being 5-5, if we were 7-3 or 8-2, then yeah, that's fine. That's different, because we have a chance to actually win. Right now, we're not. Put the young guys in. I want to see what they have. And I've been saying it for weeks. You've been saying it for weeks. Can we get a package for Nick Evers? Can we see what he has? Can we just try something? We are 5-5. Stop trying to just, cookie cut your way through everything, and be more creative and just try something, because this is literally free football. That's what this is. This is a free opportunity to get out there and try things, because your season's basically done. Let's do something else. So yeah, I'm all about Braden Locke playing. Yes, he certainly has had some rough times. Indiana was not a good game for him, but let the guy come back the very next week and make it right, because he played well leading up to that game. So I didn't like the idea of just Mordecai coming in right then and playing, because you didn't give Locke a chance to come off of that Indiana game where he made a lot of mistakes and improve upon them. So that was a mistake by Fickell and Longo, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. You have a young player, and you have a chance to maybe build some confidence. Or again, what's the worst case? You lose another game where your offense isn't good. That's what we're doing anyway. This is what we're kind of talking about. The upside is not there. So,
because if we play the same team that we just played, if all those guys play, if we don't make any changes, we're going to get beat by Nebraska. That's a fact. I don't think anyone is going to dispute that. We're going to lose that game if we don't make changes. So make changes. Yeah.
I'll say, here's the other thing I'd say, and I'll kind of maybe wrap up on this, and I want to get one more take from you on something. This is what frustrates me a little bit with coaches at times. And again, I'm not a coach, so they know more about football than I do. I don't try to pretend that I know more about football. But the world is not going to stop spinning if Nick Evers gets a series, right? Like, he's honestly, he is 6'4", 220, and he runs a 4.55. Rajiv, is there a more athletic player on our offense right now if Nick Evers is out there?
No, there's not. Put him on the field.
So why are we not using that in some package? We saw with Tanner McAvoy. I keep saying it, but it worked because he was such a good athlete, and everybody knew what he was going to do. Is Tanner McAvoy going to go back and scan the field and find his third read? Iowa knew what he was going to do, and he torched Iowa because he's such a freaking good athlete. Like at
A
this
lot of
point,
teams do that. A lot of teams have a second quarterback who comes in and runs those. Even Ohio State does that. And you know what? It's okay because you can't stop it. And maybe, I mean, just give him a try. Why would we not? You're so right. There is nothing bad that's going to come of Nick Evers playing in this game.
Just a series in the red zone or something. I wanted to get one more take from you on this one, and we're already going long, but I knew that was going to happen when I get lucky enough to get Rajiv on the show. I'd keep you for 2 hours if I could. Favorite against Nebraska. Thoughts?
I think Vegas is nuts, honestly. I mean, I thought that they were nuts last week when we were 11-point favorites against Northwestern. I mean, has anyone watched us play?
Oh, man.
I think one of these weeks we are going to just win because the other teams we're playing are not that good either. Let's start there. Nebraska and Minnesota are not good. I think we'll be favored in both of these games. Even if we lose to Nebraska, I think we still might be favored against Minnesota because when Vegas looks at this kind of stuff, like the talent is there, we should be better. So I think that's kind of why it is. So I'm going to predict a win just because I can't predict another loss because I'm so tired of being disappointed and it's like a life suck out of me. But no, I mean, I think that one of these games we're going to pull it off. Maybe it's this game, but I think the fact that we're a favorite at all is just nuts, honestly. Like, what are they watching?
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, and this is where we get at times hyper focused on our team. They're also watching Nebraska, right? You say who they're watching. I mean, they're watching Nebraska lose to Michigan State, right? They're also
look
watching
at Northwestern, and Northwestern Indiana torched us.
Yep. I know. They all these teams think.
It surely can't happen 3 weeks in a row, right, Ryan? It surely can't. I mean, lose to a bad team. Now, Ohio State, that's different, but this can't happen again. Like, we're not going to lose another game, are we?
Tyler says you will short circuit if you come to the point where you project us to lose. Rashid can't do that.
I cannot do that.
Anyway, he is Rajiv. I am Ryan. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Providence Therapy Show, where we talk football, where we talk Providence basketball. Better times are ahead.
We need some joy. Can we please have a little joy in our Badger fandom? It's really sad.
I agree. He is Rajiv over at the Bucket Report. Go check them out, him and Justin. On Wisconsin, we will talk again. It's Locked On Badgers, so we'll talk again tomorrow. Anyway, on Wisconsin, let's go.